one of the things I've learned is your comment on you're only as good as the market you trade in. I would imagine when you learned that, it was you're only as good as the stock you trade in.
Yeah, that's a Mike Bellafiore quote.
Yeah, but now it's you're only as good as the market you trade in.
Yep.
It's just so true. And, I realize that part of the success in overall swing trading, because it's much easier than day trading, is because people are looking to buy. I mean, in a prop firm, you guys are looking to trade the stock of the day, right? The one with the biggest news or whatever comes out. But in regular swing trading, what you're looking to do is capture the ones with the relative strength. Those are leading the market. Like, what's the biggest themes, right? Crypto, AI, space, nuclear, etc. When you're consistently moving from sector to sector like that, you're trading the sector that's hot, that's moving, where the volume's up, where every setup is a replicate of every other setup you're trading, and it's just a repeatable process. And why swing trading is so popular. I know you're not in that world, but I see it a lot, and it's something I'm taking with me next year for futures, because it's true, so true.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, and it's mostly just kind of herd behavior, right? Like, there's a reason. Like, why is it that everyone doesn't show up trading soybeans or corn? It's because everyone else isn't trading soybeans or corn. If that's what most people traded, that's what most people on this stream would trade, right? It's very much a herd mentality of the popular kind of thing. And look, in fact, I'll admit that's what drew me to trading indices. I didn't trade indices at all. I was a pure currencies guy. I just happened to use futures for a while I was trading some other people's money to trade currencies. And it was only because everyone else was talking about trading the ES, the S&P, the SPOOs. It's like, okay, I'll take a look and see what's good. So there is something to that. But the main takeaway is sitting there and banging your head against the wall, trying to grind out a few ticks in something that's barely moving and has super terrible relative volume and things like that. I'm not saying it can't be done. You're just going to have to. I think there's a better way to do it, I guess, is what I would say. And then if you are going to be kind of stubborn and just stick with that, and that's fine, you're just going to have much more lumpy return streams. You're going to have much more periods where you sit there and you lose and you lose and lose, or you don't make anything. And then, you're going to have April of this year, and you're going to have, March of 2020 and different things if you're kind of a, long vol, like momentum type trader. And you're going to make your year, you're going to make your quarter in kind of a handful of days and things like that. So different styles, different approaches, but going where the volume is something that most traders don't really try to do, and it's something that I try to preach a little bit. Another big thing for the new tryout program, the new trader evaluation program, is almost everything I'm seeing in the prop firm industry is encouraging traders, even under the guise of benefit to the trader. It's encouraging them to withdraw small profits and kind of keep what appears to be a high risk of ruin, a small max drawdown. And so I wanted to design something that by design allowed traders to create a huge max drawdown, real staying power, allow your strategy to have drawdowns and variance, and not let that take you out and put you back in the hamster wheel of trying to, try out again through evaluation progress. So I want to work with traders who have a real runway, who have a real long leash, and can actually go through a drawdown and come out on the other side of it and stay with me and allow me to stay working with them. So that's a big deal. That's kind of a very big reason for why we did things the way we did. Blue Shark asking about, why would buyers step up? This thing's going on the macro scene and whatnot. I mean, first of all, you got to decide if you're a big picture macro theme investor or if you're a trader. These are two very, very different things. For traders, which is the only one that I can speak to, asking why is always the wrong question. It's always the wrong focus. Always. Why is this happening? What is Where can I go on the internet or forums or Discord chats or wherever and find out the why? Why is the market up? Why is the market down? Never do that, is my advice.
Never. Why does not matter? What matters is, are your parameters being triggered? Yes or no?
Yep.
If you start thinking why, you're going to start thinking better than the market. Why?
And then, connecting to some bias that you're going to latch on to and continue to invade what's in front of you. What's, like I like to say, trade what is, not what you want to be, not what was yesterday, not what you think should be, not what someone says. Trade what is. And that's easier said than done. It's very, very easy for some type of a bias or external type of factor to invade what should be you and your process, right? It's tough. Every time I see Chris put on a trade, I want to fade him, right? But I have to really be disciplined and not take those trades consistently.
Well, both can work. The retracement in a long that I put on, you can make money on while I'm still in the trade.
Sure.
To eventually go higher.
We've done that. You and I have done that on stream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just, obviously we don't trade the same, but I myself am an hourly trader. I'm looking to capture hourly trades. So if it doesn't happen in the 2-hour stream that I'm in, I'm still looking for a trade that I can put on, take partials, and then hold for the rest of the day.
Irvin saying that they have a hard time knowing when to take profit when they're up heavily. I end up losing a good portion from holding too long with the expectation of more profit. Any advice? This is one of the most age-old questions in trading, quintessential questions in trading. The other one would be, how can I tell when a trend is going to I should take trend continuation trades versus fade, right? And the answer to your question around trade management and the other question around trends versus mean reversion or whatever is that there is no answer. Really, there is no answer. When it comes to trade management and taking profits, I actually have grown to like teaching it from kind of a weird place. Which do you hate less is one thing that I talk to people about when it comes to trade management. Because two traders could get in a trade at the same time, and how they manage that trade is pretty much entirely going to categorize them as a trader. You and I could both enter a trade at the same time. You could be looking for a swing, and I could be looking for a scalp, but the entries could be the same.
Yeah.
Timing could be the same. Trade management dictates who you are as a trader. So decide who you want to be as a trader and know that, number one, trade management, with the benefit of hindsight, will never be perfect, period. You could never put together the perfect moving averages or VWAPs or order flow or anything, and then every time once you're reviewing a trade in hindsight say, yep, see, that was the perfect exit based on how it played out. I didn't stay too long. I didn't come out too quick. It was a perfect exit. This does not exist. So you have to decide who you want to be as a trader. And part of that is answering this question that I'm getting to. What do you hate more? Having a trade that has a lot of P&L where you end up giving it all back? Or number two, do you more hate coming out of a trade to book P&L and having it go on and continue without you? Which of those trigger you more, get you off balance more? Go with the one that doesn't. Go with the lesser of the two evils when it comes to trade management. And then do not forget the first part. It's never going to be perfect. Trade management cannot be perfect, will never be perfect with the benefit of hindsight. It can be perfect in terms of you executing it according to your rules. If this, then that. If this, then that, right? There could be different phases to it. Like for me, if I'm in a rotational type of trade, a mean reversion type play, I manage things a certain way. And if it transitions to a trend type play, I can, again, transition and switch my trade management tactics to that. So there's no perfect way to do it, but what I'm telling you here is really, really solid advice. It's never going to be perfect, and it is the main identifier of your personality as a trader, your style as a trader. Trade management's the biggest factor, so it's a big deal.
I think when it comes to psychology, rule sets are the most important And if you don't have rule sets, then what are you even measuring your psychology against? Because there's a few things that are going to create outsized losses, and it's basically an increased number of occurrences, like a more frequency than you're typically used to. So revenge trading of some form, or using larger stops than your system allows. So say you're risking 1%, all of a sudden you decide to risk 5% per trade. That's going to increase an outsized loss if you don't have a rule set in there, or increasing your position size. If you're doing in combination or all of those simultaneously, then you can't even begin to operate and understand what is psychological mistakes are just mistakes in trading that you realistically know that you're making because of you're feeling some certain way. So I think it's just understanding the core rules of, what's going to prevent you from over trading if that's a bad habit of yours. What rule are you going to create to avoid that? What rule are you going to create to avoid increasing your size? If you seem to be doubling down every time you lose with one lot, you double down to two. When a position moves against you, are you moving your stop lower? What rule? If you can create a rule to just avoid those three things and just trade with a method, you're going to be in a better position.
Yeah. And I think the shittiest part of this whole thing too is like everyone's going to go into the game thinking you know who you are, you know your personality, but when you attach it to markets and risk, there are so many things you find out that are like huge strengths and huge weaknesses, and then you kind of have to adjust. But the only way, it's kind of like you don't know what you don't know, and only once you start trading, then you start to know, okay, well, I tend to this, I tend to that. Then it takes a few occurrences for you to really catch on, like, actually, well, when the market tends to do this, I tend to try to do that, and then it tends to lead into this. And so it does take time to really notice and then start to settle into your trading. We'll call it a trading personality, and then you start to look for ways to manage it. But I think a lot of people try to perfect it and eliminate certain impulses and all that completely, which is, my opinion is, it's impossible because we're human. Best you can do is look for the windows, right, that tend to lead to certain things, and do your best to keep them closed. You can't like get rid of them. You can only do better at managing things as they're starting to occur, right? Or as the market's starting to do this or that, certain market conditions that make you want to do this or that you know you shouldn't be doing, or you don't even have to interact with because there are like 250 trading days.